is this fascinating little town. They call it Little Japan because the 9 families inside this little town are Japanese. But it exists maybe 40 minutes outside the capital of North Korea. The residents in the gates are not Japanese or North Korean royalty. They are plane hijackers. They hijacked a plane and flew it into North Korea, and now they are considered the Kim family's secret weapon. The captain is flying over Mount Fuji, and he's staring at the young guy in the cockpit, and the energy is just very tense. He tells him, unfortunately, that's not happening. What do you mean that's not happening? I mean, I'm not gonna fly to Cuba. It was a Boeing 727. The distance from Japan to Cuba is closer to 7,400 miles. The plane is going to literally drop into the ocean, into the water, because it's gonna run out of gas. Is that what you want? The captain is looking at the 9 college-aged guys with samurai swords standing on the plane 40,000 feet in the air. And nothing is going according to their plan. Not a single one of them considered all of this when they boarded the plane. 20 minutes into the flight, ding! The man near the front of the plane gets up from his seat, and it looks like he's been waiting for this moment. Maybe he's trying to use the restroom. He walks to the very front of the aisle, and instead of opening the door to the restroom, he turns around to stare at the passengers and slowly pulls out this shiny, glimmering, reflecting stick. It's a samurai sword. Stay calm, and I will let you live. Some people scream. Others in the back, they don't even know what's going on. One by one, more men start standing up from different parts of the plane, and they're all holding samurai swords, knives, pipe bombs. In total, there are 9 of them, and just something in their eyes, you don't want to test them. So the hijackers, they're quiet for a second because they have to come up with a new plan. They're not going to Cuba anymore. And that plan is, you will fly to Pyongyang, North Korea. The only problem with their new plan is North Korea doesn't know they're coming. And there's no way to quickly communicate that to North Korea. An unannounced commercial airline from Japan who has 0 diplomatic ties to North Korea flying into their airspace with 122 passengers, 7 crew members. That's not a good plan. That's a death wish. The captain tells the hijackers, if they want to get into North Korea, they're going to have to make a pit stop to refuel. There's no way. Again, we were trying to fly between 2 Japanese cities. The plane touches down in Fukuoka. A gas truck pulls up and starts pumping gasoline onto the plane. And everybody's on edge. Even the people outside the plane, everyone at the airport is high alert. This is Japan Airlines Flight 351. Fukuoka landing has been decided. Skyjackers have bombs. They say they will detonate the bombs if their attempt fails. Absolutely no one may approach the aircraft while we refuel. We will continue to North Korea after refueling. We request maps and directions. But it was a lie. The whole thing was a lie. When the few approved personnel open up the tank to fill it up, the gas tank on the plane, they realize it's pretty full. They could have flown to North Korea. They had more than enough fuel. But the pilots, they decided to take their chances because the hijackers didn't even know how much fuel was on the plane. So they're like, they don't know how a plane works. We gotta land in Fukuoka, and hopefully the authorities can make some sort of deal while they're on Japanese soil. The authorities, they're trying. I'm sure they are. But also news stations, journalists show up, which only triggers the hijackers. 1:40 p.m., the door to the plane opens, and everybody outside on the tarmac freezes. They have no idea what's going to happen. The hijackers could open fire into the crowd for all they know. They could throw a pipe bomb outside at them, and a figure appears at the door. And then another one, and another one, and they're so confused what's going on right now. 23 children and elderly, and anyone who required medicine that they did not have or medical attention are released from the plane.
Was there like a negotiation going on, or?
No.
Oh.
So it seems like the hijackers were annoyed that the kids kept crying and asking for food. So when the 23rd child walks out, the door shuts behind them, locks again. There's still 99 people on that plane. They fly across the DMZ line, and the whole plane is silent. You do not have to be a pilot to understand the implications of something like this. The only one talking on the entire plane is the pilot, repeatedly, almost begging the control tower to respond to him. Pyongyang, Pyongyang, please respond. Pyongyang, this is JA351. Pyongyang, please respond. Everyone is expecting to get shot down. They've been holding their breaths. But instead, a voice comes onto the radio. This is Pyongyang. Tune your radio to contact frequency 134.1 MC. The thick Korean accented man's voice slowly guides them to landing. The whole plane shakes as it's landing onto the tarmac, and the hijackers are smiling. One of them grabs the microphone. Finally, we have arrived in North Korea. We have imposed on you. We've burdened you as passengers, but we will soon be able to release you. Welcome to North Korea.
They are all Japanese, right?
Yes. Most of the passengers are Japanese. There's actually 2 American nationals on there.
And the hijackers are
Japanese.
and they're very excited to be in North Korea.
So excited. A voice comes over the giant intercom loudspeaker system at the airport. This is the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, North Korea. You are all welcome here. Please disembark from the aircraft now. We all welcome who are against Japanese imperialism. They open the plane door, and suddenly one of the hijackers screams, "Close the door! Close it!" Look, something's not right. Look outside. Do you see something strange? They see a foreign car parked a little ways away. It's not right in their face, but it is a foreign car, which is strange. But you know what? The Kim family, their vehicle of choice is typically the Mercedes-Benz. They like the Maybachs, which cost anywhere between $500,000 to $1 million, the ones that they get. 2, they look around the airstrip and they start counting the planes. Like I said, it's not as many as most airports, but it's still kind of a few. It suddenly feels like a lot of planes for some reason. And 3, they see a black man. Now, North Korea is one of the most ethnically homogenous countries in the entire world. They have a very, 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 very tiny limited number of ethnic minorities, and now they have questions. The black man is seen wearing a US military uniform. Everything else can maybe be explained away, but there would be zero reason for a US military official to be in North Korea unless they're dead. The hijackers grab the radio to talk to the police outside. Is this North Korea? If so, can you bring us a giant picture of your leader, Kim Il-sung? Bring it to us now.
Everybody should have that handy.
It should be hanging at the airport, honestly. There's silence. This is a military base, so there is no picture of Kim Il-sung here, but we will bring you one soon. Because you arrived so suddenly, we were unable to prepare to welcome you properly. The lead hijacker opens the airplane door and shouts down at the bus driver waiting to take them into the airport. And he screams in English, "Is this Seoul?" The bus driver is alone in the bus. No military men near him, nothing. He panics and responds in English, "Yes!"
What?
They close the door because what the hell? This is South Korea.
What?
I told you from the beginning, didn't I? That the whole hijacking had been a lie. And the truth is, the plane was not able to go to Cuba without refueling multiple times. That was the truth. They did not need to land in Fukuoka to refuel, but they did. Authorities used this time to collaborate between Japan, South Korea, and potentially the United States, and they quickly scrambled to figure out a plan because they can't stop the plane now. They can't storm it. The hijackers have explosives, but they can't just let the plane full of civilians fly straight into North Korea, so they need to devise up a plan within an hour. They make Gimpo Airport, which is the smaller airport in Seoul, not Incheon, but Gimpo. They make it look like a North Korean airport. The map that Japanese authority gave the pilots was intentionally bad so that they wouldn't rely on the map and they would rely on the radio. The man that intercepted the radio with the thick Korean accent that said, "This is Pyongyang, tune into this radio," it was a South Korean military man. And now the negotiations shall begin. North Korea is allegedly the biggest counterfeiter of US currency. In Thailand, the police are starting to notice more and more US $100 bills stacking up on their desk. They're all from the banks. Super fakes, counterfeit. They're all super notes. The Thai police start their investigations and it leads them to this small, inconspicuous little office in Cambodia. They raid the facilities and ultimately they arrest a man in connection with the high quality counterfeit US bills in circulation. And the man claims he's a North Korean diplomat. They run his prints. He's not North Korean. He's Japanese. His real name is Yoshimi Tanaka. He was one of the members of the hijacking group of Japan Airlines 351. The hijackers had not been heard from for the past 20 years. Everyone thought they were either dead or held captive in North Korea. What the hell is this man doing in Thailand? The proposed deal that authorities give the plane hijackers is quite simple. One man's life in exchange for all the others. Let all the hostages go, let all the civilians go, and we will give you one man in exchange. The hijackers are like, this man better be special. He is. The Vice Minister of Transport of Japan release the hostages and take the Vice Minister of Transportation to North Korea. That is the deal. Of course, the ultimate interest for all parties is the safety of the hostages. But South Korea knows that the whole world is watching this. And if this doesn't go the way it's supposed to, South Korea could be seen as an easy target for hijacking and terrorist groups. The US likely has a pride thing here. If the CIA is involved, which people are speculating they are, then they better get a deal done. Because really, the CIA can't take care of a hostage plane, most powerful intelligence agency in the world, and you can't even talk a few university students off a Boeing? Japan likely has the worst situation in their hands. Their citizens are the hijackers. Most of the passengers are Japanese citizens, but now they're in another country causing an international situation. Nobody's having a good time here.
Why are they parked there for 50 hours if they're going to go to North Korea?
They need fuel.
It takes 50 hours?
No. South Korea is refusing to let them fuel.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Tamiya, the leader of the group, tells the authorities, we are determined to go to North Korea, determined to do everything necessary to get there and receive military training. Eventually, we will return across the sea to Japan to start a revolution. We are determined. We are going to do this no matter how high the walls between the nations may stand. They have all just been informed. North Korea has made contact with Japan.
What?
Again, this is so incredibly rare. They have no diplomatic relations. They don't have ambassadors for each other. The message is sent by North Korea. The safety of the aircraft through our airspace is guaranteed. All aboard the aircraft will be treated humanely, and the aircraft will be returned. North Korea is willing to take the hijackers in. They finally agreed to let the hostages go. Surprisingly, on the way out, many of the hostages would wish the hijackers the best of luck on their mission. One of the hostages would later say, as individuals, they were very polite and very pleasant companions. But their goals were overthrow the Japanese government, incite a communist revolution in Japan, contribute to a global communist revolution, establish international bases for other revolutions to pull resources from. Those were their main goals. And the way that they were going to achieve these goals was not in the form of winning elections, getting votes. They were going to rob banks to fund their missions, attack police stations and government agencies, including the prime minister's personal residence. They're actually responsible, or partly responsible, for a massive massacre. They've taken 50 innocent people hostage before for the purpose of negotiating to get fellow members out of prison. They were able to get a $6 million ransom from the Japanese government after holding another group of people hostage. They've set off car bombs that have killed multiple innocent civilians, injuring multiple innocent civilians. They've attacked embassies, primarily US and British embassies. They're categorized as a highly violent group to get what they want. The whole point of even hijacking a plane was to get to Cuba to get military training. They wanted highly specialized, militarized arms training so that they can hold revolutions on a global scale. Once the vice minister is tied up in a seat, most of the other hostages are let out one by one until the very last one. The plane positioned itself, and 83 hours after being hijacked, they were now departing for North Korea. Some of the hostages even took out their handkerchiefs to wave them at the plane that was flying away.
What about the pilots?
The pilots are in there. Yeah.
Do we know how many?
2 pilots and I think another crew member.
So they still have 3 more hostage.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. For everyone else, the authorities watching them taking off, getting higher and higher in the sky, it's a grim moment, mainly because nobody knows. Nobody knows what's going to happen in North Korea, but also nobody knows what's going to happen to the vice minister. And nobody knows that all the weapons that the hijackers were threatening them with were
fake?
just toys.
It's fake knife?
Fake knives, fake bombs, fake everything. Everything was fake. It was all a lie, like I said. A young woman in Japan is sitting in front of a clairvoyant. She is desperate for some guidance at this point. She's felt this feeling of loss for the past few years of her life, and it just won't go away. And the clairvoyant tells her, soon, before you turn 30, your fortune will change. You will find love. You will get married. Yes, but how likely even is that? For the past almost decade, okay, no, more like 8 years, her fortune has been decidedly okay? Her boyfriend, the one she met while working as a nurse at Tokyo University, the one that she fell in love with almost instantly, it was so sudden. She said the minute that she laid eyes on him, she was ready to trust him with her entire life. Her boyfriend, that guy, he's in North Korea and he hasn't written a single letter. She has no idea what he's been doing, if he's moved on, if he still thinks about her, nothing. She doesn't even know if he's alive. Side note, he didn't even tell her that he was going to take a plane hostage in case she reported him. He just told her that he's not going to see her for a year or two, but she should pay attention to the news. That's it. And then he hijacked a commercial airplane. But this is the sign that she needs from the clairvoyant to somehow, to do whatever it takes, get herself to North Korea to marry the man she loves. One of the 9 plane hijackers.
Because why? She loves him?
Yes.
Wow, that's some next level
Love.
Yeah.
There was a lot of conversation of, if South Korea had not let them land in Seoul, would things have played out differently? Probably. It said that Kim Il-sung's favorite thing about this whole situation was it was a massive slap in the face to the Western countries. Well, some of them. First of all, the hostage situation made international news. And to think that 3 countries, allegedly, Japan, South Korea, and probably the United States, could not offer the hijackers something, could not force them or negotiate with them. The fact that the hijackers didn't even want to be there in the first place. They didn't want to be in Japan. They don't like Japan. They want to hold a revolution. They don't like South Korea. They don't want to be in South Korea. They want to be in North Korea. That's the biggest win. It's free, natural, easy propaganda for the world. Oh yeah, they're in North Korea now. And they've been there for a few years. And they're writing poems.
Oh, they're living in the little
village.
Little Japan.
Yeah.
But they can't do anything. They can't go anywhere.
For now. The 2 pilots and the additional crew member, they found a car battery, used a local compressed air cylinder, and kickstarted the plane's battery themselves. They're like, we got to get out of here.
They left, 4 of them they left?
Yes.
Wow.
They flew back to Japan. Their coming home was a huge deal. It was seen as a very positive thing. And in the minds of most Japanese people in the world, the hijacking situation was over. The Japanese government did try to extradite and are still trying to extradite the hijackers out of North Korea, but North Korea would reject all of their requests and they would very richly say, we just don't think it's humane what Japan might do to the hijackers, so we're gonna keep them here. We are protecting them from their own government. It is speculated that Kim Il-sung held a secret operation called Operation Marriage, where North Korean operatives allegedly kidnapped Japanese women and forced them to get married to the hijackers in one massive wedding ceremony of 9 couples. He lets them live in this massive gated compound called Little Japan, but soon they would later call it the Village of Revolution. The hijackers start turning their interest into North Korea. Their revolution was no longer about Japan. It was about uniting North and South Korea under Kim Il-sung's rule. And since that moment, the hijackers are moved from the hotel to their own little village. They go through a series of indoctrinations, brainwashing sessions, where they unlearn everything that had to do with their revolution and reprogram their minds with the teachings of Kim Il-sung. The first that they had to learn was, this is not like every other revolutionary meeting that you've been to in the past, okay? There is no room for interpretation here. Either you agree or you disagree. And now their new mission is, yes, hold a revolution in Japan where Kim Il-sung will take over, but also in South Korea and other parts of Europe. Kim Il-sung should honestly rule the world. Kim Il-sung obviously agrees with their new vision because it's his vision, but believes that they need to have a family to really throw themselves into their revolutionary work. There's a few reasons for this. One, it said that after Konishi Takahiro's girlfriend, she's the one with the clairvoyant, she moves from Japan to Beijing. Beijing, because they have a North Korean embassy, she begs North Korean embassies, please let me go to North Korea, please. I want to go to North Korea so bad, please let me go. They're like, okay, fine,
so
go to North Korea.
willingly went there.
Yes.
Okay.
Once she's allowed into North Korea, she and Konishi Takahiro start their own little group within the group. You know, they're the only ones that are coupled up, and it starts creating this very strange dynamic amongst the hostage takers. They felt like it was just them. They were in this together as revolutionaries. Why does he get to have emotional comfort and physical attention? And two, this is terrifying and it's not further expanded upon any source I could find, even this like 420-page book that I read on it. But it said that the men tried to engage in highly inappropriate sexual acts with the North Korean women that were staffed to work for them in this gated compound. Yeah, so I feel like that's putting it lightly. This seems like the biggest trigger for the North Korean party to get involved. And lastly, 3, within a year of getting married, almost all of them have children. And that is how the group are allowed to leave North Korea, to find more revolutionaries around the world to join them. Kim Il-sung envisioned that the hijackers would go to Europe, all over Asia, find like-minded people and convince them, and they would have covert operatives across the world working for him, building their own teams of revolutionaries that are going to help Kim Il-sung take over their countries. But that means the hijackers would have to leave North Korea for these operations, but what's the insurance plan? How can Kim be so certain that they're going to come back? Their wives aren't going to do it. These wives are just like random kidnapped women from Japan, other than Kunishi's girlfriend. What is the emotional attachment there? That's why they have kids. You keep the kid in North Korea, send the parents abroad. And it worked. Because remember that guy in Cambodia? One of the hijackers? It's alleged, obviously everything's alleged because North Korea doesn't confirm anything, but it's alleged that he was working with North Korea on the counterfeiting schemes. As of 2004, the hijackers have requested permission from North Korea to return back to Japan. And there are mixed feelings about this. So the hijackers do genuinely seem like they want to go back to Japan, and Kim Il-sung is long dead. Ooh, well, he is dead, right? But don't kill me. Kim Jong-un, his grandson, has taken over, and I don't think that he sees as much value in them, but I think he just keeps them around because he doesn't want to give them back to Japan. Now, there are other theories, though, that the hijackers are begging to go back to Japan under the disguise of like, oh, we miss our home country, but they're going to try and start some stuff there.
Wait, so right now they wanted to leave, but they're not allowed to leave.
Yeah, North Korea won't let them leave. So far, there's no real answers. The Vice Minister of Transport, the one that exchanged his life for the passengers, he was actually scheduled to fly into Pyongyang, I would say maybe like a decade ago, for negotiations to swap the hijackers or to get them back. But coincidentally, the day before he was scheduled to leave, his daughter suffered from a psychotic break and stabbed him to death with a kitchen knife. As of right now, Yoshimi Tanaka, one of the hijackers, was arrested in Thailand for distributing supernotes, counterfeit US currency. He was extradited to Japan, where he died of liver cancer in 2007 in prison. Takeshi Okamoto is suspected to be dead. It's suspected that he actually attempted to flee North Korea on a boat. Kintaro Yoshida is also suspected to have denied the teachings of North Korea and was allegedly suspected of being sent to a prison camp where he likely died.
How do we know all this information about their stay?
The book that I read, the author actually did multiple visits to North Korea, obviously with North Korea's permission, and he was interviewing the hijackers. Tamiya Takamaro, the leader of the group, the original leader of the group, was said to have died from a mysterious illness in North Korea, also allegedly suspicious. Yoshiro Shibata, he's the youngest member of the group. The hijacking happened when he was only 16. He actually went to Japan to recruit people to North Korea, but he was arrested for forging a passport. He went under a fake passport. After his sentence, he stayed in Japan until he died in 2011. Takahiro Konishi is currently still living in North Korea. He is internationally wanted. It is alleged that he has taken over as the leader of the group. Abe Kimihiro is currently still in North Korea as well. He is wanted by Interpol for kidnapping Japanese people. Wakabayashi Moriaki also lives in North Korea as well. Shira Akagi also lives in North Korea. And if and when the remaining wives get back, they're facing 10 months in prison, while the husbands will probably face more than 10 years in prison for their crimes. All of the children, however, of the hijackers have returned to Japan. Well, I guess it's not returned, but they now live in Japan.
How did that happen?
Yeah, I guess North Korea was like, yeah, just go. I think it became too many people.
Wow.
Yeah. The interesting thing to note, though, is the hijackers went through all of this because their whole belief, the reason that they even hijacked the plane to begin with, was one of it was based on having a classless society where wealth and resources were distributed very equally. But they were and are living the lives of the 0.01% in North Korea. They are literally the richest of the rich in North Korea. And it does not seem like they have a problem with class disparity anymore. as long as they're part of the group that gets to live comfortably.